This is VSiN's Daily Morning Bets.
For this Sunday, week 2 of the NFL slate, I'm looking at two running quarterbacks that were proficient in week 1, and I'm going to fade them in week 2. We look at Lamar Jackson and Jayden Daniels. Both were incredible running the football in week 1. Part of it by design, but mostly part of it due to inefficiencies on both offensive lines. Lamar Jackson with the 16 carries, over 100 yards. Jayden Daniels, 16 carries as well, and scoring 2 touchdowns. And both teams, the Ravens and the Commanders, don't want to see that happen again. The Baltimore Ravens in particular, Lamar Jackson was asked if he envisions himself running this much as the season progresses. And Lamar said, quote, "I don't know. I'm not trying to find out. We've got Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, those guys. But I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. That type of game, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do." And the key word in that quote there from Lamar Jackson is when he says that type of game. And what he means by that is a marquee game in primetime against a playoff opponent that you're likely going to see again in the playoffs and whom you're competing with for seeding in the AFC, and that was in week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, if you look at the Ravens' schedule after this game against the Raiders, they will play in the afternoon marquee spot against the Dallas Cowboys, the Fox game, the America's game of the week, and then after that, a Sunday night football game, standalone, primetime, against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Those are 2 marquee games on their schedule, and after the Bills game, it's another marquee game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And we'll see where the Bengals are as we get to that week, but let's just talk about the Cowboys and the Bills. Cowboys, team that you can measure yourself against, and for Lamar, maybe he takes it personally, the fact that he's the MVP, multiple-time MVP, and Dak Prescott just got paid more than any player in NFL history. So Lamar, who considers himself the guy that should be the highest-paid quarterback in the league, is going to be playing against Dak Prescott, who now is the highest-paid quarterback in the league. Maybe Lamar takes that game personally. And then there's the game against the Buffalo Bills, where that could be a future playoff opponent. That could be a team that you are competing for seeding with in the AFC. And so that type of game is the game against the Chiefs, is the game against the Cowboys, is the game against the Bills. Those are games in which Lamar, quote, "You gotta do what you gotta do to win," end quote. Not against the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm going to go under Lamar Jackson, 48.5 rushing yards. Because I don't think Lamar is going to run as much as he did in week 1 for sure, but he's not going to put the emphasis on running the football here against the Raiders. They're 8-point favorites. They want to win. They're going to go up early, cruise in the second half, maybe take the foot off the pedal, and get ready for some marquee games on their schedule against the Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills. And for Lamar Jackson, it's about self-preservation. We just saw on Thursday night, Tua scramble, take an awkward hit, and now have another concussion and is out for at least a week. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Lamar doesn't want to see that happen. Harbaugh doesn't want to see that happen. No one wants to see that happen. So against the Kansas City Chiefs, offensive line breaks down. Sure, Lamar 16 carries, over 100 yards. Like he said, in that type of game, you got to do what you got to do. But for him saying, "I'm not trying to find out, we've got Derrick Henry, we've got Justice Hill," shows me that Lamar's not going to run here against the Las Vegas Raiders. Give me under 48.5 rushing yards for Lamar Jackson. The other running quarterback that we saw in week 1 was Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, who also carried the ball 16 times, and he was the entire offense for the Commanders. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. The best offense that the Commanders had was when Jayden Daniels ran the football. But if you ask the coaches, they don't want to see that either. Dan Quinn told the media, quote, "We'd love to see him remain a passer first. And I think that's going to come with more experience. 16 carries is not the model that we're looking for. I do think we'll continue to grow in that spot, but it is certainly not by design to have that many. So from a coaching perspective, there might be a mandate for Jayden Daniels to run less here against the New York Giants. Now, could the offensive line break down like we saw in week 1? Could the Giants pass rush get to Jayden Daniels and he eludes the pocket? Sure. But I mentioned what we saw happen with Tua Tagovailoa on Thursday when I handicapped Lamar Jackson. I feel the same way about Jayden Daniels. And then you can also look at what the Colts dealt with last season when Anthony Richardson went down with the shoulder injury. The Commanders are not in it to win this year. The Commanders are in it right now to build towards the future. And so they need to develop Jayden Daniels as an NFL quarterback. And that means having Jayden Daniels on the field. Both Cliff Kingsbury, their offensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn, the head coach, have expressed they don't want him running this much. And so I think that this is a point of emphasis for Jayden Daniels to not run as much this week as he did last week. Now, like I said, he could scramble, he could go off and run, and then maybe he slides or he goes out of bounds. I don't see him fighting for extra yards here when he scrambles and runs the football. But specifically by design, anything that they do, we are going to see him try and pass first, stay in the pocket longer, and not run as much. So give me Jayden Daniels under 52.5 rushing yards. And those are the VSiN Morning Daily Bets.